thank you so much for watching my last videos about resumes, about interviews, about applying, everything. And I asked you what you wanted to hear about next, and I heard you. It's cover letters, so we're going to get into that today. So today we're going to talk about cover letters. A lot of people were asking what I did for cover letters. I mentioned it very briefly in my resume video, and at first I was like, what the heck, there's not even that much to talk about cover letters. Maybe I have kind of a hot take on them, but I realized there kind of is a lot to go over with them, so that's what we're going to be focusing on for this video. And we're going to split it into 3 parts. The first one is how to decide if you should do a cover letter at all. I think there are only a few circumstances under which you should plan to do a cover letter. The second will be, if you decide to do a cover letter, what should be in it? What do you write about? And then the third will be the formatting. So once you write your whole cover letter, how do you submit it and make sure that it looks good? So let's do it. Alright, so the first part is when should you write a cover letter. Over all my time applying to internships and jobs, there was definitely a time where I was submitting a cover letter every single time, and it was extremely time consuming. It discouraged me from applying to more jobs because I was kind of just dreading writing the cover letter, and eventually I realized it wasn't worth it to write all the cover letters, and they hardly ever looked at them. So here's how I decide if I write a cover letter. The first time is when they tell you you have to write a cover letter. That is the most clear. If it says anywhere in the application process that it's required to include a cover letter, that it's recommended, or if they just mention something that you should talk about in your cover letter, that's when you have to do it. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. And that means that it's more likely that the recruiters are going to be reading the cover letter. They're planning to read everyone's cover letters because they require them to submit it. So that's an easy one. The next time that it's important to include a cover letter is if you have a unique circumstance related to this job. So maybe it was recommended to you by somebody, like you met someone at a networking event at your school, or online you connected with somebody that recommended this job for you, something like that, and you want to highlight that relationship with somebody in the company, or maybe that you've worked for the company before, or some unique interaction with the company. That's a good thing to highlight in a cover letter. Or if you have a unique career path, like you are changing career paths, or there's a big gap in your recent employment because of some life circumstances that happen, anything like that, a cover letter is a great place to be able to include that information. So that's the second time I would write a cover letter, is if you have a unique connection or experience that you feel like needs further explanation. And then the third time that you would write a cover letter is if it is your dream job. This is your biggest goal, the biggest thing you want to get an interview for, and you just really want to go above and beyond in your application. If you want to feel like you've done every single thing that you can to potentially get an interview for this position, go ahead and throw in the cover letter. For me, my dream job was to work for Disney, which is kind of broad, and I would apply to 50 positions, and it got to the point where it was worth it for me to apply to more positions without writing a cover letter. So even though Disney was my dream company, that didn't mean I should write a cover letter for every single application. But if there were 3 or 4 positions that were my biggest wish, those ones would maybe justify a cover letter. But if it's not a job that you're just wanting to spend hours on, then cut out the cover letter. So basically, if it doesn't require it, if you don't have anything super special to explain, and it's not an application that you are wanting to spend hours and weeks and months on, don't do it. There's no need to do a cover letter for any other internship or job, in my opinion. In my opinion, I think if they don't require a cover letter, they might not even want to read it. They may think it's a waste of time. They want to get straight to your resume. And in those circumstances, it really isn't worth it to write it because they don't even read it. So then it's not doing anybody any good. It's just taking up your time. It's taking up their time to scroll past, and nobody's getting any benefit out of it. So now, if it is one of those times, what do you include in the cover letter? So sometimes an application will tell you explicitly what to state in your cover letter. A lot of times it's why you're interested in the company. So it should show that you've done some research about the company, you know what they work on, you know a little bit about their culture, about their location, and you can explain in a couple sentences why you want to work for that company. Talking about why you want the position is good, what you're hoping to learn from it. This is especially for internships. You want to talk about what you want to learn, what you want to accomplish, how the internship will help you with your career goals, and how you have prepared for this internship already through other positions, classes, jobs, research, anything like that. So kind of explaining the job, explaining the position, and then kind of showing your personality, I think, is a really good thing to do on the cover letter. Explain why you're really excited about it, or what you're doing in school, or what has inspired you to like follow this career path. You can really get creative with it. I think you want to tell a little story, be engaging, be unique. It shouldn't just be bullet points, boring, like just make it a little bit fun. And I usually do like 3 paragraphs. So I have an introductory paragraph about like what I'm studying and where I go to school, a second paragraph about why I'm really interested in this job and why I think it's a good fit for me, and then a third one about like where I'm hoping to go with my career and why I want to do an internship in general. I think is usually the format I follow, but the more you can tailor it towards the company and job that you're applying to, the better. And then you want to sign your name at the bottom. And then you should have a header at the top that has your contact information, your email, for sure, your full name, maybe your phone number, yeah, probably your phone number, and then maybe your like city that you live in. And then that just gives them all the information that they need to contact you. So I mean, that's starting to get into the last part, which is the formatting. Your cover letter should have the same font as your resume, the same color, the same size, and then that makes it look really nice. In my resume, I use a different font for the headers, so then I used that different font for my header with my information in my cover letter and my name at the bottom. And then if you have like a picture, a graphic, an image, a shape, a colored line, anything like that in your resume, you can pull that through to your cover letter to keep them consistent. And you should make sure there's a decent amount of white space around your cover letter and try to keep it succinct. You should not be like rambling on and on and on, because that would just be, I think, too much for them to read. So you want to get your point across, but have a decent amount of space between the paragraphs, like keep it light. And then when you're applying for a job, you will combine your cover letter and your resume into the same PDF. So you can do this in Adobe Acrobat. My school got me Adobe that I could download. That's always how I did it. Or if you're doing it in Microsoft Word or Google Docs, then it connects that way. But I always was writing mine in 2 different documents because I had really small margins for my resume, so I could fit more. So they were in 2 different documents. I combined them into one PDF when I submitted the application. And then there are some jobs that require additional information, like the Pixar applications all required a cover letter. A lot of them required writing samples or like a response to a specific prompt, and then they also wanted to see your relevant classwork that you have done in school. So the Pixar applications required a decent amount of information, so I made sure to write all of those out and then combine them into a PDF in the order that they were listed on the application. And I think that that looked really nice and professional when I submitted it. And then you just want to make sure that you really read through the cover letter. You look for any spelling errors, grammar errors, or anything like that. Like if it's too wordy, you want to make sure it sounds professional. And then once you have a nice PDF and you submit it, you're done. You're good to go. I mean, I think the cover letter is a bonus. It's an extra. It gives you a place to explain things more, but it is not crucial. If you have a good resume that shows your story and what your career goals are, the cover letter should not be needed. And if writing a cover letter is what's making you go, I'm pushing off this job application, and then maybe the job listing goes away, if the cover letter was what kept you from applying right away, then just cut it out. Don't do it unless it's necessary, but otherwise, don't do it. I mean, I think that's a little bit of a hot take, but that's my take. I think it's just a lot of extra time and work. So your time is very valuable. So if it's worth your time, do it. But if it's not worth your time, I think everybody needs to kind of learn that boundary for themselves, how to value what is worth your time. So that's everything that I have to say about cover letters. I hope that this was some helpful information. Good luck to you if you are writing your cover letter, if you are completing your resume and you're submitting applications. You got it, and I'm very excited for you. I love that people said that they wanted me to talk about this specifically because I wouldn't have thought to. But please, if there are other things that you want tips on, let me know and I'll do it for the next video. So thank you and good luck!